right, welcome everybody to the comic panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Taylon.
And I'm Shawenta.
And for those who are listening for the first time, we are a bi-weekly radio show podcast, a comic book club covering any and everything regarding comics and manga. We have each co-host pick a book that follows a specific theme and review a book for each episode. Then we wrap up the theme with a retrospective episode covering our opinions and favorite moments from each of the books. This is our fourth. Oh, this is not our fourth and final book. This is our retrospective. This is our retrospective that I just mentioned for the theme of Western comics classics. In this theme, we read the Galactus Trilogy by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, Corto Maltese by writer Hugo Pratt, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen by Alan Moore, and Elfquest by Wendy and Richard Pini. So to start off, we'll give a summary of each book real quick. So starting off with the Galactus Trilogy, Shawenta, you chose this book. You want to kind of go in on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really famous 3 issues from Fantastic Four where they meet and have to defeat Galactus, a being that destroys worlds to absorb the power, right?
Yeah, he hungers for planets.
And also it's the introduction of the Silver Surfer, who is kind of like a scout for him, goes on ahead and takes a look at the planet, specifically Earth in this case.
Yeah.
And then he falls in love with Earth, and then,
Yeah.
The transformation is swift to an Earth lover.
Yeah. The Silver Surfer falls in love with
yeah.
Earth, not Galactus.
That's true. That's true.
It would be a little weird to fall in love with your food.
Yeah.
He is apathetic to us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the next book that we read was Corto Maltese, and I chose that book. And so that starts off with the character Corto Maltese. He's like kind of a drifter, sailor kind of person, and he's at an inn in Paramaribo in Dutch Guinea, or Guyana, Dutch Guyana. And yeah, kind of described as a man of destiny. Things happen to him. And so they're paid a visit by Tristan Bantam, and Corto decides to go to his boat, basically like, he's trying to hire a sailor, to help him get to another place. Tristan is. And so then they run into a washed up professor named Jeremiah Steiner, and they are he is being roughed up by some other like sailors who are not as
ruffians.
Yeah, ruffians. Yeah. And so Corto saves the professor, and then stashes him in his boat, so he can rest up. And then when Corto returns to the inn, Tristan asks for his help in deciphering documents that his father left him. And then, there's more. Tristan has a sister that, basically is inheriting the fortune of his father. And then one of the people that was beating up the professor tries to assassinate Tristan. The attempt is foiled, and Corto tries to find out more information.
It's tied in with like government conspiracies, familial conspiracies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But basically, they go on, an adventure basically to figure out what's going on with primarily there's secrets of like a lost civilization, basically Atlantis, but not Atlantis. They encounter World War I era German soldiers who are sinking Allied ships, and just generally kind of aiding in a revolution.
Just casually. I mean, Corto is such a like cowboy of the coastline cities. He's like,
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
not really going to help. And then he totally helps.
Exactly. And then, so yeah, our third book was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which, Talon, you had picked.
Yeah, so it follows a group of individuals who are recently divorced. Important plot point. Her name is Wilhelmina Murray. The team is composed of a hermit sea captain named Nemo, a one Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and the Invisible Man. An astute reader would notice that all these characters are pulled from Victorian literary fiction. Wow.
Yeah, and so they're trying to get the Cabaret crystal. Is that how it's said? Crystal of
Cabarite.
Cabarite.
Yes.
It's just anti-gravity. They just want anti-gravity.
Yes. And it's fallen into the hands of Chinese criminals in the east side of London. Through deception and stealth, they steal the object back and return it to their employer, Mr. Bond. However, through Renaissance, the Invisible Reconnaissance. Wow. Through reconnaissance, the Invisible Man discovers that Mr. Bond's employer, Mr. M, is not Sherlock Holmes, as Miss Murray assumed. The M stands for James Moriarty. Yep, the infamous arch-rival of Sherlock Holmes. The League must stop Moriarty before he uses it to power the airship, his airship, and destroy London. Yeah.
Poor London.
Yep.
Somebody has to destroy it.
Yeah. And then, sorry, that just loaded. And then, unfortunately, our co-host Jake could not make it to this episode, but he had chosen the book Elfquest, which follows a group of elves known as the Wolf Riders, and they're fighting for survival while dealing with a group of humans who, for hundreds of years have been, aiming to hunt them and eradicate them, seeing them as...
To the point where they burn down the forest that
Exactly.
everybody lives in.
Yes, yeah.
Including they live in there.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
They're
So
like, this is my home, this is your home. Somebody has to go, and I don't care if it's both of us.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, then the Wolf Riders, they find uneasy refuge in the burrowed tunnels of the trolls.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The trolls do not want them there,
Yeah.
and so they deceive them into leaving to a place that has a lot of light, which comes out to be a desert.
Right, yeah. And so they strand them in the desert, and then, but rather than, give in to their fate, they decide to cross the desert, being sure that as long as that they can survive, they will find, somewhere.
As long as they're together.
Yeah, as long as they're together, exactly.
Apparently.
And so, they do make it to another settlement of elves that is known as Sorrow's End. And then...
But these elves have developed differently, so there's
Yeah.
a lot of... And also the Wolf Riders, come bounding in,
Right.
very hostile, due to, every single other group they've been dealing with so far.
Yeah.
So
The
there's
humans
a lot of-
were awful to them. The dwarves, not dwarves,
Trolls.
Trolls were awful to them. So it's like, we can't trust these guys yet.
Immediate cultural clash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then they kind of go through their different cultural differences and try to integrate into this new community. And the main character,
Cutter.
yeah, he's he does fall in love with one of the other elves in Sorrow's End. And that also causes some problems. There's another person that has affections for
Yeah,
her.
but at the same time, they sort of realize their similarities as well as their differences and are able to come to some sort of settlement.
Yeah.
Even if it means her other their romantic rival decides to leave town.
Yeah. Yep. And so, those were the 4 books that we read for this theme. So, let's talk about standout moments from these books, what we enjoyed.
I actually, the more I think about it, I liked some of the World War I, like, country intrigue / conspiracy that was happening in Corto Maltese.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that they can't always do that. Like, as far as Tristan's whole thing, it wasn't that big of a government thing. It was a familial thing.
Yeah.
More.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess people with deeper pockets were also still interested in targeting him. But I really liked that German part. I found that interesting because, well, the historical context and the fact that this is like such an old story kind of adds more to it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
He probably had some very strong feelings about World War One being near World War Two.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. No, I think that in general, learning more of the background on a lot of these books, you know, like, or being able to, you know, share the background on some of them, you know, Jack Kirby, Hugo Pratt, the Pinis, you know, Alan Moore to an extent, you know. I don't think we really dug into that really and how it, but we did a little bit. We compared some of his other work, you know. So yeah, that was intriguing to me to be able to like see more of how the writers and artists' backgrounds kind of influenced these stories.
Yeah, and for all its weirdness that we've discussed, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen has some very fun, mismatched team kind of moments. You're like, how in the world are they supposed to work together? And they somehow make it work.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, and like I think that I like that point in the sense that I didn't really ever think about like, okay, if you do like a superhero team, you know, and even if it's like, okay, these are already established superheroes or even like anti-heroes or something, you know, and you're all like, how are they gonna get along? But you kind of just implicitly know, you know.
Well,
like,
they all believe in good.
yeah, exactly, or like something like that, you know. But it's like these are like distinct literary characters that have their own distinct like arcs, you know.
You get the feeling that they will come into conflict, but at least it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I really liked when they used the crystal to propel themselves out of the water. That's a fun use of a plot device. I mean, well, I don't know if plot device is the right word for it. The prop.
Yeah.
Plot element.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the literary figures, references to that. Just like, not that I know much about them, but just the fact that they're there. I actually thought that the inclusion of Sherlock Holmes was really interesting to me. I was like, oh, like he's an actual person in this book.
As compared to Dr. Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. There's so much media that's like, and Sherlock's real, and here he is, versus like, I don't know, there's a level of groundedness for Sherlock Holmes. Like, he's a detective, but there's not as much magic, I feel like, as compared to the Invisible Man.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't deal with it. Sherlock Holmes is never science fiction, or well, I don't want to. So somebody's gonna come for me.
They leave it debatable in some of them, I would say.
Yeah. And so, I get what you mean. And similarly, like, I mean, because is Mr. Bond supposed to be James Bond, right? Is that
maybe. I mean, it is London,
think supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it's never explicitly revealed.
Right, yeah. And
they're not like your reputation precedes you. And also, what does he do as Mr. Bond other than, like, ferret things, like orders?
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's definitely, like, I feel like it's supposed to be, like, James Bond after he's, like, already retired, mostly, you know? Like, he isn't on the team. He oversees the team at an administrative level.
See,
you know?
I get the feeling that's more like, oh, this is what you think I do. But that's just speculation and legend to make me seem cooler.
Right.
Because I suck. If you're working for Moriarty.
Right, yeah.
I need the money somehow.
Yeah, it does make me wonder because I don't really know a lot about the James Bond books and the ways that like his characterization differs from like the movies and stuff.
I don't know if he has like a crazy characterization.
Yeah.
That's why he's able to do so many books and stories, right? He's just a dude who's really good at spy stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, like that's kind of the same as Sherlock Holmes, right? He's just a dude that like that's good at
That's why we have to
detective
have him
stuff.
at the waterfall.
Yeah.
It's his famous waterfall moment.
Anyway, though, yeah. I mean, I think that in terms of like standout things, though, otherwise, yeah, I'm trying to think of like really Elfquest stood out the most to me.
Yeah.
Is it recency bias?
I
That's what I
don't-
keep thinking about.
No.
Well, I mean, okay, we'll discuss that further.
My personal stance.
I can't
is
wait to
that-
find out our rankings.
Yeah. That would be
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. Oh, I didn't realize too that we were maybe meant to like talk specifically about one book after the other. We just kind of went right
Yeah,
into all
yeah,
of
it's
them.
all-
We always want to do that, but it's so easy to go from book to book,
Right,
and
that's
back
true.
and forth.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, cool. Yeah, because I think that, yeah, like I'm trying to think now though about the Galactus Trilogy because it's like it's not anything to do with recency bias except for just that it's
been a bit.
it's been a bit. I'm like,
We loved that last issue,
Yeah.
which isn't even part of the Galactus
No.
trilogy.
Yeah, no, that was the issue with
Ben.
Ben.
oh
And someone
yes, this
impersonating
man,
him.
this monster.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that was what I had remembered too.
Mhm.
Was that story in particular?
Okay, yeah, and that's what I needed to hear to bring me back in because we
yes.
only summarized the Galactus parts.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, we meant to tack on. We did read one more issue after that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
the Galactus quadrilogy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if like I feel like that's one thing that I'm like a trilogy makes it seem like it's a series of arcs, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Not a
Oh,
series
yeah.
of issues.
I know what
Yeah.
you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Galactus saga.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What a saga.
Yeah. But yeah, like, to me, why that stood out was particularly the ending, where so it was a scientist who took over the identity of Ben.
Mm-hmm. The
and
thing.
The thing, yeah. And he's just like, I'm going to infiltrate the Fantastic Four. But then
He's so jealous.
Yeah.
He has to get in there and show Reed Richards who's boss.
and then he's like, oh my gosh, Reed Richards is like a actually nice guy. What
Yeah.
the heck?
Wait a second, he's doing this for the greater good?
yeah.
I've never considered that.
And so in the, one of his last acts is, Reed is in danger and he pulls him out of the way back to the, because like
He
they're
makes
all-
the conscious decision
Yeah.
that he will not survive so that Reed Richards can survive.
Yes.
And that's, a real turning point for his character, which we've only seen in this one issue, really.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
But
he
it's
comes
still,
back.
it's dramatic enough. I
Yeah.
mean, oh my God, leave it to modern comics
Yeah.
to be like, but actually.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's just like it's very much the I can have my cake and eat it too of like in Superman comics they've called them imaginary stories, which is always very funny because of course they're imaginary. That's the point. But specifically these are things that you don't count as continuity. They're not Elseworlds yet. But they are. What if this happened?
Yeah. It's like the Starro, but
You're gonna have to give me more to go on.
well, it's like in a Superman story.
Oh,
Is
the
it the
whatever
man who
happened, or what do you get? The Man Who
Yeah.
Has Everything by
Yeah.
Alan Moore.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, kind of like that. Yes. Yeah. Basically, though, in a lot of those imaginary stories, they would have like Superman die, or something where
Oh my God,
they-
every single like wedding / funeral that like
Yeah,
they're
he-
not gonna keep going with.
Mhm,
Really?
exactly. Like, yeah, it's like they write Superman into a corner that he just can't get out of, whatever it is. Like, whether it's an ending or it's a new beginning in some ways. But it's like, but next issue we're going in a completely different direction.
What if you were really sad because Superman died?
Yeah.
Lois Lane wakes up from her desk. Whoa, that was weird.
Yeah. So yeah, that is essentially, at this point in Marvel Comics, though, they are very continuity focused, where DC Comics had not been. And so it's like, in this, it's like, okay, we can have a thing where it's like, what if Ben Grimm made the ultimate sacrifice? What if we had an issue that really focused on his character? And it was like, yeah, this is what's great about Ben and why he's on the team and all of that, But he doesn't have to die.
So you see it that way, or have you heard it?
That's how I
that
see
way?
it. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I would see this issue as being written just so that they could have Ben fake die, someone else do it in his place. Ben almost gets what he wants in this issue. Mm-hmm. Being a normal human, getting to approach Alicia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then it's taken away in like an instant. He's like, oh. It's really hard. 'Cause
yeah.
He doesn't. I expected him to come to the conclusion of like, maybe I just need to be happy with what I got to some extent, which he kind of does at the end. Like, it's a happy ending for him, but he still gets to wallow in his sorrow.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I think that there's definitely the ability for it to like stretch out a little bit more, where like I could definitely see a version where he, like maybe he sees Reed in trouble and realizes that the imposter is there with him and not going to save him, or at least that's what he's going to think, And then it's all like, well, if I was the Thing, I could go in there and help him, but I'm not. I'm just Ben Grimm, like that. Yeah. But without that, though, still, I do see it as like kind of a piece on Ben's character.
Yeah, I mean, of course it's still about Ben. Personality-wise, I guess I can see what you mean, actually, like some of his insecurities as compared to Reed Richards.
Yeah.
I can't say Reed. It has to be Reed or Richards.
Yeah.
It's the only way that feels right.
That's fair. But yeah.
So it's like a mirror of Ben's insecurity around Reed.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting way of thinking about it. I'd have to reread it to really see if I can pick up on all that. But I like the idea of that.
Yeah.
I think it would be. I think it's interesting to think about it. It's not like, I guess Ben sees the end result of like Sue and Reed are like, oh, we're so glad you're here, but he doesn't experience, we think you're so great at. It's somebody else. And it's like telling the audience why Ben is. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, because Ben can't have that moment of like, because I was talking about like, what if Ben had seen or had realized that it was better off that he was the Thing, but ultimately, they're not ready for that kind of character catharsis,
Yeah.
It's like he needs to still be the Thing and still be a little bit wallowy,
Yeah, which makes sense why you'd make a different character be him for a bit. Just that whole thing of the rejection where it's like, it's me, guys. I'm the real Ben. And like, how every single movie would do, like, we'll say something that only the Ben would know.
Yeah.
And they'd like prove it. They don't.
They don't. Yeah.
They're like, get out of here, man.
Yeah.
That's our Ben over there.
Yeah, you do look like him from when he was a human, but that's the thing.
It's almost like a rejection from his friends. Like,
the
fact that there's such a disconnect that they can't even realize who the real him is. That's sad.
Yeah.
And then his only consolation is being like, well, okay, I am a human finally. Can I go in and reap the benefits that I've always wanted?
Want it back.
And then he doesn't even get that.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. We love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, and then the Galactus ones, like, are still good, but I think that in some ways just don't have as much, like, great characterization, where it's just like, yeah, I feel that, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's, if you were to focus on one character, it'd be Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And
It's iconic,
Yeah.
but I mean, everybody else doesn't get a ton of specifically them time. There's only so many pages in an issue, and they gotta have this big, dramatic, like, I can't defeat him. I'm hitting him, but nothing's working. Like,
yeah.
it's very like physical world kind of conflict versus mental world, which we get with Silver Surfer. We talked about how it's like a little bit rushed, of course, like Silver Surfer changing his mind.
Right.
It's still kind of fun to see him stand up against Galactus
Yeah.
and being told, like, this has never happened. He's never went, maybe we shouldn't step on the ants.
Why would I?
You're talking crazy there.
Yeah. Yeah, which is interesting considering that, like, you know, his origin is like, please spare my planet. I will go out and find other planets for you, you know?
Yeah.
Wait, is life precious elsewhere too?
Yeah.
He's been doing it for so long that he just forgot.
Yeah, but yeah, maybe also in the beginning when he might have like had qualms about it, it's like, well, I can't, even though it might like turn my stomach, you know, I can't stop, you know, otherwise he'll just go to my home planet and eat them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I will say I find it humorous that the Fantastic Four essentially stopped Galactus by showing him the ultimate nullifier.
yeah.
And it's like they went to Galactus's home planet to get it, and it's still a handheld device to a human. It's like,
I have that panel saved on my desktop. Like, it's so funny Reed holding that up to him. Take a look at this.
and I love the line because the Watcher is also there. And he's kind of
Oh, I
helping.
forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Galactus says to the Watcher something like, "You gave a box of matches to
To a child or something.
like that." It was like, oh, that was good.
Yeah.
He's right.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. Man, I because this is not something we read, I will be very short about it, but there's like a alternate universe comic from Marvel called like Earth X, and in it, like and some spoilers for it, it's like kind of revealed towards the end that like basically like there's an egg that's at the center of the Earth that like basically it's like it births a new Watcher, and that's why the Watcher is actually like guarding the Earth, and so like and Galactus is like their natural predators, you know.
That's funny.
That sounds so cute. A little baby Watcher.
Yeah, it's all bald.
Yes, it is. I like refrained from calling him a baby man like a few sentences ago.
Also, it's really funny that like because I know what you mean, like a baby Watcher does sound cute, but also this book is very like entrenched in like 2000s like mopiness, you know. It is like it is like a future version of the Marvel universe where everybody is unhappy, you know?
I think he'd look like a little troll doll.
Yeah.
No hair.
Or maybe they're born with hair and then they lose it like as they
Maturity.
mature, you know? Which I guess is kind of how humans work, but also like I don't know. I'm imagining more like extremes, but
Humans don't start off with hair and then they get hair and then they lose it again.
Right.
So it's like going back to their roots. Ooh, I like that.
Hair roots. Okay.
Elfquest.
Elfquest.
Should
Yeah.
we discuss some of our least favorite moments yet?
Yeah, fair.
After? What did you just say?
Fair.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
you said after. I was like, okay, you want to talk about Elfquest? Like, go for it. I think that's a good idea.
I mean, I know that we already said it. It's hard to highlight one point of Elfquest.
Yeah.
You should just, listen to the episode of Elfquest. We talk about so many moments we liked.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess if anything I feel like we're missing from what we liked, it would maybe be Corto Maltese, but I'm also like, I don't know if
Well, I
there's...
already said I liked the war stuff.
Yeah. I guess
Bring in
between-
the Germans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, it's a fun little serial adventure, you know?
Yeah. I'd say for the most part, I didn't like it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was Corto Maltese.
Do you want to get into that? I want to know more specifics.
I don't really like the trope of like this guy just kind of wanders through and encounters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would have much rather if they started, because they did start out with this whole storyline with Tristan and trying to find his sister. I would have wanted them to stick with that more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just kind of I don't know, it's like a style just didn't like vibe with me.
And we
That's not
discussed
very
that. We
specific.
also, one of the things we thought altogether was like maybe it's translation too, right? Like some of the flow just felt a little weird with dialogue. And we were like, what are you talking about sometimes? And maybe it's translation. I get what you mean though. It's such an early graphic novel in quotation marks. But we're so used to like the modern ones. We're like, stick to the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say like I did enjoy kind of, because I didn't say this before, but I did enjoy fighting each other to get to the gold basically.
Yeah.
It's a self-contained
Yes.
story.
Yeah.
I forgot how much I liked that one because it's kind of tucked in between all the rest.
Yeah.
I would say, if I'm thinking about my least favorite, though, from Corto Maltese, it's along the same lines. Like, overall, there's the disconnect where it just feels like the story sort of falls off and goes in some other direction. Suddenly, it's more like issue-by-issue stories that are self-contained. But also, maybe Tristan is still there.
Yeah.
Is he going to do anything? Probably not. Especially, I felt like there was certain things that were foreshadowed, like his sister. Like, he was like, I don't know, she seems suspicious. And they're like, we should trust her. And then they do, and it's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like there was certain things that were foreshadowed that don't develop or go anywhere. And so it feels like, okay, we're going to cut away from this story, have some adventures, and we'll get back to that. I'm like, no, I want to know now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because the mystery of the maps and the thing Dad's decoding or
and
whatever.
the dream.
Right. Yeah. No.
And they don't go to Atlantis.
Yeah.
they don't find some secret thing, really.
Yeah.
It's a little unfulfilling in that way.
Yeah. I feel like that is like a common issue of like a primarily an artist who decides that they're going to do their own thing is like, well, I'm kind of bored with this story now, so
I want to draw more boats.
yeah, exactly. I want to draw something else.
I relate strongly. Someone else can wrap up that plot line. But that's the thing. If you're gonna cut away from it and maybe come back to it later, which we don't even know if he was planning that, you got to establish early on that you're able to complete arcs.
Yeah.
You need to do one small arc, complete it, and then we'll trust you a little bit more later.
Right, yeah.
Oh, he should have dropped Tristan off at, with his sister. End issue 1. Bye, Tristan.
What if it was like, what if the gold one was the first one? I mean, it's easy to say that when this isn't like, Corto Maltese in general is like a side character originally.
Yeah.
So
So he probably wasn't, like we've talked about, he probably wasn't planning this out super far.
Right. Yeah.
He's like, whoa, I can keep going with this story.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, fair.
Yeah, it does. There, like, while I do I wouldn't say like as strongly as Talon that I didn't like it, you know, but like it's not my favorite out of these. And so I'm hesitant, but also kind of curious to try out that previous story where he was just a side character. Yeah. I don't remember what it was called right now, but
it was somewhere in there.
Yeah. You're not going to remember.
It's not in there anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful art style. It's an interesting way of storytelling that he's developing. I don't know. Maybe things get more interesting in the, like, countless other books that he made.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. And I would like to see some of his work that he worked on with that Argentinian writer.
Oh, yeah.
Whose name also escapes me because I didn't know I was going to talk about him.
Yeah. Was that before this series or?
Yeah, it was before.
Gotcha.
I mean, so also with Corto Maltese, for all its problems that we found, like in continuations of the narrative, we talked about how it had a pretty decent and even-handed representation of like indigenous people and other groups that would be considered like minority groups at the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, that makes me think of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Yeah. And how every time I want to go, yeah, I like it, but and I think about everything it does.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're newer.
Yeah. We're much, much newer.
Yeah. But I will say, Captain Nemo is pretty legit.
Yeah.
He's my favorite character.
He has every right not to trust any of them and hate them.
Yeah.
I feel like he hardly does anything compared to the other characters. And it's just enough.
Yeah.
He does come off a little bit as like the zany guy. He's like, he's crazy. He's going to pull out the big weapons. And then it's totally justified as we talked about. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, he should have brought out that not a machine gun.
Yeah. Quote unquote.
I don't even know I don't know the literary stuff behind him.
20,000 Leagues.
Yeah, 20,000 Leagues.
I mean, yeah, but I just don't understand. I don't know anything about that, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, this isn't the place to discuss it, really.
No, yeah.
But
for me, it was like, I think I did a middle school book report.
It's just like fantastical things, right? Like
yeah.
some sort of.
Yeah, but like in a submarine, like
you should go to Atlantis.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, there's so many fun moments that are like action-y. But yeah, sometimes there's just such a disconnect. We talked about that like tonally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't it was such a weird satire at times. I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be worried about what's going on or laughing at it only. Like,
right.
I mean, the girls' school, of course.
Yeah.
Classically. The part we all disliked that.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. They thought he was a poltergeist.
Yeah.
He was just committing crimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, honestly, I thought, like, I didn't hate that. And then I think about it, and then I was like, oh, wait, yep. Okay, never mind.
I don't... Did we need to have that?
No.
Like, couldn't he have been doing something else to be this invisible man?
Yeah, and also...
Like stealing?
Yeah, because, like, the like, you know... the smaller version of it, you know, that like you often see in media is like going into the girls' locker room, right? You know,
well,
and it's like, but that's so played out already in like 1999 or whatever.
Okay, but so if that's the introduction of the character, that's establishing like what they're about and what's going to carry on through the rest of the story. What does it have to do with anything else? I mean, I like much more the moment where he almost beats the police officer.
Yeah.
It's like intense. It's like upsetting in a way. You're like, you're going too far, man. You don't have to do this much just to get his uniform. But he delights in it. Yeah. And it's such a character moment where I'm like, I can point to that and go, that's who he is.
Interesting.
And it's bad. But so why the other part? Yeah. I mean, I just think it's, you know, what he thought of and like salacious. Yeah. So it's fun. But I'm just like, why did we have that?
Yeah.
I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, and like I know that Alan Moore has such better, subtler comedy, you know? Like he can really be a funny writer sometimes, and people miss it, but also like I'd rather that.
Yeah, were we being hit over the head?
Yeah.
And is that why it's not that funny? Too obtuse. I don't know what the word.
Yeah. No, definitely that was the part, one of the parts they.
Also, just
really
I guess in general, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit. The Chinese.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Why?
Chinese are going to take over London, and they're going to destroy it. Mm-hmm. And then I talked about this in the episode. They build up this villain, and then they just kind of drop it. I mean, in terms of like to show off Moriarty, which also that seems like such a. Okay, I guess I'm thinking about the arc over the whole book. That's the whole book we read. So, of course, they got to have, like, a weird secret benefactor and reveal he's the villain and then defeat him. And they can't... It'd be weird if they, like, had that whole secret benefactor, I guess, and then the villain is, like, the Chinese guy that they meet, like, 3/4, 2/3 of the way through the story, and then they defeat him. I don't know, though. I think it could be done. Because I feel like secret benefactor is Moriarty... is such like it feels a little bit bigger, right? He's part of the government.
Yeah.
That's like a bigger villain that you can build your way up to.
Yeah.
But it feels like they play a big card really quick and are like, crazy, huh? And I was like, oh, okay. I guess it's big time now.
Yeah, it's like...
Maybe we'll come back to the small fry Chinese man.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it does seem like, you know, and we did kind of talk about this in the episode, but... You know, I feel like they could have done the exact same thing where I suspect that they might go, where it's like, oh, now Mycroft Holmes is in charge. Or no, I don't remember who they put in charge, but, you know, whoever is in charge.
Yeah, Mycroft.
Oh, okay, it is. Yeah, now he is in charge, and now everything's going to go good, and then it's still going to be bad, you know?
Because it's the government.
Because it's the
who
government.
Put Moriarty in charge.
But, like, I feel like, you know, if you're going to do the Moriarty reveal anyway, then it would just be better if it was all like, oh, yeah, we have to stop him because he's Moriarty, you know? And then it's all like, they're like, no, you can't, you know? Like,
wouldn't that be such a gut punch?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, the big bad villain, we're going to take him down, you know, because he's been manipulating us. And the government goes, stop that.
Yeah.
That's our toy.
Yeah. Like, that's not the mission. You are hired government agents, and you'll do what I say, so...
So it does feel... There's some disconnect there. It feels like something falls a little bit flat. Because also, yeah, Moriarty, they only had like how many pages to take Moriarty down, and then they just do it, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it was some crazy strategic planning where they finally like synchronized all their abilities together.
Yeah.
Just messed with them a little.
Yeah.
We've built a little bit of trust. Now we're good.
Yeah. Also, like, yeah, is the government trying to pry the Invisible Man with, like, the secrets to his, like, formula, you know? Like, so that they can perfect it or something?
I mean, they interrogated them a tiny bit at the beginning. But meh. We'll come back to it later.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about how it's supposed to be a little bit of written for its time, like in the historical fiction kind of... It's weird. It's like double layers, right? Historical fiction of a fictionalized story from an old magazine of the time. So that's why racial stereotypes are kind of cool.
Yeah. But they're not. They're not.
They're done so oddly.
And really, like, I feel like an editor should have seen that and been like, hey, let's walk this back.
Who needs to feel historically immersed in this way?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's the villain, like, I keep calling him the Chinese guy because I don't remember his name at this point. But he is the Chinese, like, the Chinese doctor or something.
Yeah, the doctor, you're right.
Like, he's intimidating. And then they don't pursue it. Maybe they'll pursue it later, we said. But that's still, I want that hint then. I don't know, maybe he drowned when they ruined the bridge.
Yeah, I hope he didn't.
He better not have.
Yeah.
I think we should move on to the next section.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, what can we even criticize about Elfquest?
Yeah, not much, I mean, if anything, I know, like, I was talking to somebody the other day about it, and they were like, yeah, I've been meaning to start it, but, the art style really puts me off. I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess.
Charlatans.
Yeah. But yeah, I was
also
like,
same though. At the same time,
Yeah.
every time I saw the omnibus, I was like, they have such sparkly eyes. And then I read it, I was like, this is so charming.
yeah.
I love their sparkly eyes
Yeah,
and
it's like
their bloodlust.
yeah, I guess like yeah, that's the message here is like just give it a chance, you know.
Well, we gotta discuss who these books are for, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, recommendations.
Yeah, is that where we are
Yes.
on this? Yeah, so how would we rank these? Is that
Or, no,
No,
like,
no,
Who do we recommend?
who do we
Yes.
recommend?
Corto
Okay.
Maltese to.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a classic comic, as all of these are.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Hugo Pratt has a really interesting way of drawing, and I've always meant to read it because of that. Historically, like, it's really intriguing, and as we talked about, like, without, like, the racial stereotypes that are usually a landmine, minefield.
Minefield. Yeah.
Minefield in these type of older comics where you're just like, okay, I guess I gotta deal with this. Might be worth it to go in for a little bit of a longer haul than the first book, though.
True. Yeah. It's
We're talking about Corto Maltese, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that this is one of the things where I'm like, I could see recommending to somebody to do it as it was published, read issues with like some space in between
Each
them.
week or something.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, not to binge them hard unless you're feeling it. If you're really feeling it, go for it. But yeah,
With the kind of pacing, I agree with that. Like, I feel like some of the stuff that we are attributing to translation errors will also kind of even out if you give a little bit of time between each issue.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of talking. It's an older comic.
Right. Yeah. Surprisingly, another thing that tends to happen with artist only.
Gotta explain it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. But not always, but just something I've noticed. But anyway, yeah, I think that, somebody that is interested in, like, the history of, like, graphic novels, in, like, kind of world history a little bit, obviously, like, this
Historical fiction.
Yeah, historical fiction, but...
and then we also compared it a little bit to Indiana Jones.
Yeah. That's right. But yeah, definitely being prepared for, like, let the art lead you a little bit more than the dial. Jump back to Galactus.
I always forget that one was chosen first, even though I was the one who chose it.
And kind of much in the same vein of, like, if you're interested in
You're in it
history,
for the history.
Yeah.
Comics history in this case, very much.
Yeah.
The first appearance of Galactus, first appearance of Silver Surfer.
Yeah. And I think,
You kind of said it best, Cody, when you were saying that, like, it was interested in the continuity. Like, if somebody misses that, it's a very specific saga, one and done, a very heartfelt fourth issue we read.
Yeah.
Especially the Fantastic Four. I always talk about how, like, I want to read comics where I actually like the characters that are, like, these iconic heroes and stuff. And I'm always, like, trying to find, like, a good Poison Ivy comic or a good Fantastic Four comic. And that's why I wanted to read this one.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a shining of their classic hero visages.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think that, just getting to enjoy that, like, Jack Kirby art too, Yeah, I think we had very strong artists on this.
It's almost like they're classic.
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Someone who has a quirky sense of humor.
Yeah.
That's a word for it, quirky.
Yeah.
I thought of it as, like, if you want to go into a story just to, like, be entertained. Like, this is an entertaining story. Like,
Yeah, ragtag group,
yeah.
not found family.
Yeah.
Misfits.
I'm like trying to, misfits.
Yeah. Did you know that I looked that up on ChatGPT?
I don't know what you're talking about. But okay.
That's the word I was looking for, ragtag. And so I was
Ragtag.
like, I don't know what the word is, but that's it.
Couple of freaks.
Yeah.
Oh, I compared it to like watching the Godzilla movies or King Kong.
Where it's a little
yeah.
kind of
Godzilla
campy.
versus Kong.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of campy or...
Yeah. It's
you,
like
you go there for the action, not
Right.
like for the plot kind of thing.
You're
Yeah.
not here to think.
Yeah.
Too hard.
And even though it's literary heroes from like the 19th century, it is a little bit of I'm making my action figures fight.
What if Sherlock Holmes fought King Kong? Wait, it really is like that.
Yeah. If King Kong wasn't explicitly an American film, it's like
Yeah.
that could totally happen in this book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Elfquest. I thought if you like stories of resilience, this is
Yeah, I think
Heartfelt, yet it's not too scary.
no.
So far.
Yeah. I think it's just
It's like, heartfelt, thrilling. Yeah, you were saying resilience.
yeah, pretty action packed, I'd say.
You can tell I'm having trouble because I keep going. You cannot say if you like classic.
Oh yeah.
If you enjoy stories that kind of feature different cultures,
And we talked about like the strong manga influence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Eastern
Yeah,
Asian.
and I think that's why I'd really recommend it to a lot of people, because it's like, okay, well, if you mostly read manga, but you're like maybe considering getting into comics, but like superheroes aren't really your thing, then it's like, okay, Elfquest is probably pretty good, you know?
Yeah, it's like a manga style pacing of a kind of Western adventure.
Yeah. That's exactly what Wendy Pini describes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And and then it's like, okay, if you like, high fantasy stuff, sword and sorcery.
Is it high fantasy?
You're
It's got
the
elves.
genre expert here. I don't know.
It's got elves, right?
Yeah.
It's got elves.
I feel
That's
like,
all it needs.
I mean, really, actually, I would say it's more high
guess-
fantasy than it is sword and sorcery.
I'm just remembering the magic. I forgot a little bit about the
Okay.
magic
Oh, yeah.
because I was so entertained by their knife fights.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, if you're
It's
interested,
a fun mix of fantasy. Yeah.
yeah. And I think, just generally, like, it's easy to recommend because you can get so easily invested in the characters. Like, every character has a name. They all have, like...
Well thought out. It's got good characters, clear world building. A lot of time and effort went into it.
Yeah. Definitely. 90s?
I know it's not 90s, but I'm like, I keep thinking of classic manga as like,
Oh, I
I
understand.
miss the old manga mixing with American style.
I gotcha. Yeah, I know what you... Okay. Oh, cool. So then let's talk about what our favorites were.
Do we want to rank them?
Or, yeah. I guess
it does just say favorite.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
well, it says favorite and how do we rank these?
Yes. Yeah.
It goes hand in hand.
Exactly, yeah.
Fair enough. I go from best to
Yeah.
the least favorite, right? Elfquest, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the Galactus Trilogy, Corto Maltese.
It's hard. I might actually go like Elfquest, Galactus Trilogy, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Corto Maltese.
I'm going to go, Elfquest, Galactus Trilogy, Corto Maltese.
Yeah, I think what won me over with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is just how entertaining it is. I want to know some of the mysteries they made.
That's
Versus
fair.
Corto Maltese, I'm like, just tell me what the dream means.
That's really fair. And honestly, if you found me on another day, I might switch them.
I feel that though. It's so hard. All I know is Elfquest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It entertained me and warmed my heart more than any of the others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the rest
Absolutely.
of them can fight.
Yeah.
And I really do think I would have liked Corto Maltese more if I was able to read it in its original language. I really feel that. Or I had more of the historical context.
Right. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I feel like for me, Galactus and This Man, This Monster is pretty firmly in number 2, though, also.
Oh, okay.
Like, I mean, not as firm as Elfquest is number 1,
Yeah.
but still, like, pretty firm in there.
If it was only This Man, This Monster, I think, I'd be
okay.
much firmer in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just trying to punch Galactus and it keeps failing and they don't know why.
It's true,
It's
yeah.
very funny to me.
And, like, I'd probably cut out the Punisher robot thing, you know?
Oh,
that
yeah.
Just,
Oh my god.
yeah. It's kind of boring fight. But yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think that those are pretty good rankings. You obviously liked League of Extraordinary Gentlemen a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, yeah, it's entertaining to an extent, you know? I think that I was just... it got to the point for me where I was like, man, this isn't making enough sense, you know?
Yeah, I was drawn in by the spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
That's fair.
yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I guess that's what we have for our show today. This has been our retrospective on the theme of Western comics classics. If you liked this episode, be sure to follow us on Twitter at @thecomicpanel1 and listen to more of us on Spotify at The Comic Panel Podcast. You can also listen to us on ksuaradio.com or on 91.5 FM in Fairbanks, Alaska. Be sure to tune in 2 weeks from now for the start of our new theme.
Which is it? It's not me.
I don't know, actually.
Either way,
You
we
chose
don't
it.
know.
Actually, I think it is me.
Okay. No, because you just did, what was our last theme? It was continuations.
That was Jake.
That was Jake. Okay, then it is you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tisk, tisk.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah,
You
tune
could've-
in.
You could
Yeah.
have told me it was me and I would have went, okay.
Okay. Yeah, so please tune in to find out what our next theme will be.
Yes.
I'm Cody,
I'm Taylon.
And I'm Shawenta.
and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.